What's going on, guys? Today we are working on these. Some little shoe art. And we're talking about the value of your creativity. Anytime I make wearable art or I make some limited prints of an original, I think back to this conversation I had a couple of years ago that I had with a woman at a group showcase I was participating in. This woman was an abstract artist who made these very colorful paintings that really had this environmental presence and feel to them. While they might have looked like a bunch of color strokes, you could look at one and find it resembled like an ocean or an open landscape that was out of focus. So it was pretty cool. It was almost like an ink blot, what do you see when you look at this? But it was not black and white. It was a mixture of colors, and they usually complemented each other very well. Very cool stuff. I wish I remembered her name right now to share with you guys, but maybe after recording this I'll dig in my emails and I'll find her or something, since she was one of the organizers of this event. But anyway, the conversation we had was around art prints. She felt like prints cheapened your value as an artist, and I think she was coming from a historic perspective, she was thinking about well, I guess this makes it futuristic, but you'll see what I mean. She was thinking about 1,000 years from now, essentially if Renaissance painters like Da Vinci had a plethora of prints out in the world, would we care as much about the rare number of originals they left? Would they be as valuable? She felt like she'd rather, instead of making prints of her artwork, she'd rather make smaller pieces. She painted on canvas primarily, but she showed me a series of small acrylic paintings on paper that she was doing that were her more affordable series. And she felt that making a series of smaller pieces would maintain a higher value over time. And I guess by that logic, an original piece that's accompanied by, say, an unlimited amount of prints is worth less than an original painting that's one of one with no prints ever made. And I mean, she kind of also felt that way about wearable art on t-shirts and whatnot. And I mean, we had an interesting discussion around it. I honestly brought a different perspective. I presented to her the idea of limited prints, and how by keeping prints limited to 10 or 50, it maintains a high value of the print, and meaning that if an artist becomes in high demand by the masses, that even his prints will be highly desired and receive top dollar, and his, really his value isn't determined by how rare the artwork is, but how high the demand is. But I mean, I guess one could argue that by your art being rare, the demand might be higher. So there's that argument. She took that in, and I mean, she found value in this point, but overall I'd say she held her ground in her belief that sticking to originals is the best move for all artists. And I mean, I also presented the perspective that the demo of your clientele plays a part. For example, she was an older woman whose clientele were generally older couples looking to decorate their homes with original work. And I mean, this demo is just generally more established financially. They're usually willing to pay a higher price for artwork to place in their homes. Whereas say a younger artist growing an audience on Instagram is more likely to attract, younger people with similar interests, or people who, just younger people who like art, who want to support their favorite artists on Instagram but may only be able to afford a print or a t-shirt or a sticker, and that's all they could afford, but it still makes them a collector and a supporter.